Hey folks, your OS reviews. One of the trends of 2017 seems to be smart journals and smart paper that you can erase and continuously use to save on natural resources. Of course, another high-tech solution would be using a tablet, but if you want a more low-tech and affordable one, you can check out something like the Rocketbook, or today we're taking a look at the ElphanBook. You can find this exclusively on GearBest, and it sells for sub $15, which is pretty inexpensive, and it basically uses a special paper that is kind of like plastic. It's a synthetic plastic, and it comes with its own pen that you can use to erase the ink, and then with the built-in app, you can scan the paper that has a few tiny dots in it, and then get a more high resolution shot that you can then save, send, process, as well as extract text and important information. So it's almost like a smart journal that uses your phone as a companion tool. So let's take a quick look at the packaging here. Very simple. Everything seems to be in Chinese, but essentially means that you can write. It's waterproof, which is nice. It's recyclable. It's good on the resources. It requires the app to function, and it seems like this ElphanBook app is only for iOS at the moment. So there isn't an Android app, Android version that I could find on the Play Store. So that's what I use for testing purposes. So inside the packaging, there's a quick thank you card, also printed in what looks like Chinese, in addition to an instruction manual also in Chinese, but not super complex, so you won't really be needing that to operate the journal. The journal itself is fairly compact, not a standard size full journal, but more of a travel one. It can be used for classes, for taking notes, also for business people who might be taking notes at conferences, stuff like that. It offers this acrylic plastic material on the front, which is going to be water resistant, and you can see that there is a QR code that you can scan again on the back. Finally, flipping it open, we are greeted to some of the sample pages. As aforementioned, if you look very closely here, you'll see tiny little dots on each of the lines. This is pretty similar to the Fly Fusion special paper and also the smart pen paper that we saw before by a lot of companies, where it uses this tiny dots to get a better read on the smart pen. In this case, it's using the camera sensor to know more precisely where you're writing and to process the image later on. So the paper here, it looks very typical, but the texture is very different. It almost feels like a film or a plastic. It's very silky smooth. It doesn't tear as easily because it's almost like a plastic piece. And the very top here does feature some title information like the number, the date, and you can also use it on the other side. It's almost translucent because of this plastic-like material. You get quite a lot of sheets in this journal. I would say probably around 200 pages or so, and it's also, again, fully reversible, which is nice. But of course, these pages are also claimed to be, quote, erasable. So here's the special pen that it comes with. I believe it's also something that you can just pick up by yourself once this runs out. It seems to be just a Pilot free X-Ion ballpoint pen. It's a very thin pen, and this particular pen is special because it has an erasable ink that works well with this plastic type of paper. So you can see it's a very fine pen tip. It has this nice grip on it, and you can just write something such as, let's say test. Very easy to write and scribble without having to apply too much pressure. But you can see I've written something here. It takes a few seconds to completely dry. And then on the other side, there is this almost like an eraser tip, but it's more like a stylus tip. It's hard to explain, but you apply a little bit of heat and kind of pressure, and afterwards you're able to essentially erase what you've written because the paper here, again, is quite special. So again, it is quite a neat concept that you can just erase everything when you're done, and then what you want to keep you scan using the app. So quite useful. So I wrote some sample notes on here. I'll launch the ElphanBook app, and here we have the ability to tap on the camera icon on the very bottom here that instantly brings up the camera viewfinder. So this will work with any iPod Touch, any iPhone or iPad, any iOS device that you may have. Kind of tap once to focus, and then it's going to take that image, and then it waits a few seconds to completely process it. It's going to try to detect borders automatically depending on where you've written, and also depending on the edges of the dots. So you do need to be in fairly good lighting environments, but once it locates that, you can kind of drag around and edit it as well, depending on how you want to position it with the border. So it's kind of intelligent in terms of how it processes everything and scans it in a more ideal way than just a regular app. So here we have the ability to apply some filters like black and white, so you can really tell that the text is much more visible than before. And I can also look at the original. Let's say I want to keep the black and white image, and I'll tap on OK, and that's saved my image and created a timestamp that I can also edit, and I can tap on this to look at the image. You can see it's very clear as far as everything is captured quite well. It's been optimized for this, and I can also edit this, rotate it, save it to a different album, to a different collection. I can save it in a local folder or into a journal that I want to keep that's on virtual on my device, share it with friends and family, or delete it if I want to. So going back here into the main menu, you can see I can also sort, import, share, preview into PDF, quite useful, and then also edit. Going back again, I can again sort through my folders. I can look at my gallery, and also there's an introduction that Elfenbook put on here, such as what you can do with it, such as scan, photographed, and saved, and then magic, make the pictures better, as well as search to find anything immediately, and then manage in a clear and easy to view structure. So that's basically what the device does. I tried testing it out with a few other notes that I had for various conferences, and it seemed to work very well. I was able to sort them by specific categories that I could label out on the phone, and of course it's just stored in your internal memory on your device, or you can store it to the cloud and use cloud storage. Afterwards, the paper itself, again, it is waterproof, so even if you kind of try to rub it, it doesn't really go away, and the same thing is said about the ink. It doesn't smear very easily, despite the fact that it is erasable. So, if I want to erase something else, like insomnia, applying a bit more pressure, even for words that were written a long time ago, such as in this example here, can still be fully erased. And there's no real wear on the eraser tip either, which is pretty interesting. So all in all, that's been our closer look and I guess quick review of the Elfenbook. It's not nearly as high-tech of a solution as the Rocketbook or smart pens or smart scanners, but it's very clever because it's a low-cost solution that uses existing technology to tie everything together. It makes it eco-friendly, and it almost packages pre-existing things such as this Pilot erasable pen with a proprietary custom notebook paper that's erasable and also scannable because of these macro dots, in addition to designing their own app to manage everything digitally. And that's why the cost here is so low at sub $15. It makes it for a pretty compelling buy if you're someone who loves to organize your notes. You don't want to buy a very bulky scanner and you just want a small journal to keep everything together. The app itself works well. It's fairly intelligent and recognizes what you write just depending on the borders and how much size that you take up on the journal. So you can check out more information about this in our official written review, but for now this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been the Elfenbook.